Welcome to ClickFunnels Radio, the podcast that brings you the latest strategies, insights, and success stories from online marketers just like you who utilize funnels to grow their business. Our mission is simple: to help you unleash the true potential of your online business by harnessing the power of funnels. Join us every week as we bring you exclusive interviews and thought-provoking discussions that will revolutionize the way you approach online marketing. Here are your hosts, Laura Demetrius and Chris Cameron.
Welcome back to ClickFunnels Radio. My name's Chris Cameron, and joined with me is my co-host, as always, Laura Demetrius. Laura, what is up?
Hey, Chris. I'm excited. This is going to be a good one today.
Yeah, this one's interesting. I was trying to figure out, everything that this guest does, and he does everything. Like, this guy is a Navy pilot, like true Top Gun guy. Like, he could legit beat Tom Cruise easy in dogfight. But then he's a farmer. He does this crazy podcast. He's winning affiliate contests when he's not really necessarily, that's not his niche. I mean, this is crazy. And a speaker and an author. So I'll introduce everybody to my good friend, Bill Allen. Bill, what's up?
Hey, Chris, how are you?
I'm doing great. And Bill spoke at Funnel Hacking Live last year. Bill, I want to ask about something that happened, I think it was, a couple weeks ago. You flew into Boise for this groundbreaking, right, of the library. And next thing you know, you're taking people on planes to Montana just to go eat a chicken sandwich at Chick-fil-A. You're recording podcasts. You actually are a pilot and you're recording a podcast from the plane. Just did one with Russell. Tell us about that.
I'm trying to figure out what I love to do and what direction I want to go and what I want to be known for. And I've struggled with that for many years, of just because you said it in the beginning, like, this guy kind of does everything. So if you do everything, you really do nothing. Nobody really knows who you are or what you're known for. And I've seen the most successful people are folks that do one thing really, really well. And I love to fly. And then I wanted to build something where I'm talking to entrepreneurs and just kind of interviewing them and their story and how they can help people. And I wanted to build this YouTube channel. And so I was like, everybody's got something. Like, I love to fly and I love to talk about money. So what if I put my studio in my airplane and we just flew around and talked about money and business and all the things that I like to have conversations? Could it open doors for people who I wouldn't normally have access to go do something that they've never done before? That's kind of crazy. And no one else can really catch up to me, I don't think. Like Grant, I was on his jet a couple months ago. He can interview somebody in the back, but he can't fly it.
That's true.
And so I was like, I got a leg up, I got a head start, and I think it can be unique that not a lot of other people have done. And hopefully what it does in the future, you mentioned I flew to Boise and I interviewed some folks. My goal is to get it big enough where people come to me. Like, they want to come to Nashville. I do like 1 or 2 of these interviews a month and that's it. We put them on YouTube, cut them up, make them really good, like a show, not necessarily a podcast, but like a show. And then what I'm considering doing is taking the entire interview, because we leave a lot on the cutting room floor, because it's only about 30 minutes on YouTube, and put that on a podcast where somebody can act. They want to listen to the entire conversation, everything Russell and I talked about, for like an hour and a half. Then they can listen to the long form podcast, something like that. So I'm trying to build something that's new, that hasn't been done before, because I love to do it. And I think it's something that hasn't been done before in that specific way. And that's kind of what we need. We need something that's a little different right now to be noticed. And I also want to be the guy. Everybody should think like Bill's the guy who has the flying. He flies in his airplane and interviews people. Like, he can talk on the radio. Like, you don't hear all the radio calls that I have to make while we're flying. Like, it's a whole nother channel that has all the noise off. I got to listen to them. I got to I got to think about my next question. I got to listen to what the person's saying. I got to scan. I got to make sure we don't crash into the ground.
Yeah, you're still flying the plane.
Yeah. Russell was like, dude, this is really cool. Like, we're talking, he's like, this isn't that bad. Like, I can just fly. Marley Jacks came on the plane while I was there, and she was like, oh, I'm pretty good at this. I was like, yeah, but you also don't have to talk on the radio. You don't have to interview the person. You don't have to scan for traffic. You don't have to check to make sure we have enough fuel. You don't have to think about what happens if we lose the engine and we have to land and we have an emergency. And so, like, all that stuff's going through my head while we're doing the interview. So
wow,
it's a lot of fun though too. So.
Yeah, that almost seems a little bit overstimulating. So the fact that you've definitely capitalized. Like, this is like such an original business idea after, with all the other things that you do. So it's crazy to think about all of the things that you have to focus on while having these in-depth business conversations with others. But I'm curious to know, you clearly do so many things well. Like, is this podcast on a plane thing? Like, is this your groove? Like, is it your favorite thing that you're doing right now?
It's probably one of them for sure. And I love to fly. I'll tell you what I love more than flying though. And I've realized this in pretty much everything that I do. You only get to have that experience like once or twice. You ever watch a movie that's like really good and it has this twist at the end, like Usual Suspects or Memento or some of these movies that you see at the end and you can never see it again for the first time, right?
Right.
Yes.
And I love it. Like Usual Suspects. I'm like, I know what happens at the end. And even if it's 10 years or 20 years before you watch it again, you still kind of remember and know, and you can never have that feeling for the first time. So that's the challenge that we have with everything that we do. So in flying, what I love is I get to bring somebody like Russell on the plane and I get to see my first flying experience through his eyes again, while I'm talking about the things that I love. And I can see him getting nervous. I can see him uncomfortable. And I think the other thing that it does a little bit is it brings out something inside of them that they wouldn't normally share on a typical interview. So as an example, on Russell's interview, I was able to get him to tell me how much the offer was for ClickFunnels. And I've never heard him talk about that before. So I don't know why he shared it, but he shared. And I was like, going into the interview, I was like, I want to get everybody to tell me something that they wouldn't normally tell somebody on.
Is that something that you're going to publish?
It sounded like there wasn't a problem with that. So
snap.
And it wasn't exact. Awesome. It wasn't exact. It was way more information than I've ever heard. It was stories. And also we talked about the 3 things that reduce the valuation from a VC firm that they're working on right now that other people can work on if they want to sell their business. So like all this really valuable kind of conversation and information. And then I saw him squirm when he was like setting up to land the plane and kind of freaking out a little bit. So it's just, you can see it through somebody else's eyes. The same thing when I take people fishing. I love to go offshore fishing, but I pretty much caught like every fish out there. So when I'll take somebody who's never been on a trip like that, and I want to see it through their eyes because I get to experience it and help them. And that actually gives me more joy than doing it for the first time myself. So I'm really passionate about that. And then Chris mentioned the farm. Like I really love that because it's in my backyard. It's like kids are seeing food being grown for the first time. They're seeing chickens lay eggs and that really where stuff comes from and it's all local. And I think, I'm losing money doing that, but it's like filling the passion bucket for me of like my soul.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, you're doing so many things. I want to dive into what I think you are known for. Like obviously as a pilot and everything else. I mean, I loved like when you came on stage at FHL, your walk-on music was Danger Zone. Like it's so cool. Yeah. But 7-figure flipping. This kind of really caught my attention. And now I'm a customer, right? But what's so cool about this is I hadn't seen it done this way. And maybe some other people are doing this. I want to dive into how you're doing real estate funding. You're funding deals in these big syndications using funnels and webinars. So talk to us a little bit about how that works and what 7-figure flipping is and what's working.
Yeah. So 7-figure flipping is my kind of coaching and consulting business. It started as a single family house flipping and wholesaling business. So we have a couple hundred clients across the country that flip and wholesale houses, and we just teach them how to build their own business. So we don't do the marketing for them. We don't do any of that stuff. Very similar. We run a very similar business to what you guys do in ClickFunnels in the masterminds, like 2CCX and things like that. So I've modeled that for years in there. So we have masterminds, coaching programs, all kinds of stuff like that, events. And then we built a multifamily mastermind a couple of years after that. So I partnered with a partner, some good friends of mine. They were clients of mine in the single family world, went in multifamily, and I got really good. The reason why I was successful as an investor is I could raise money. I could talk to people about money. I could be like a financial advisor without the certification. I could really tell them some of the things they don't even understand about the stock market, Bitcoin, other areas where they're investing their money and where they can get the best returns to really, truly be passive. Because I was doing it myself. And for years, I've been a money guy. Like I love money. Like I said, well, like airplanes and money. I love to talk about the two of those. I'm the
you gotta have money to love
party.
Airplanes.
I'm the weird guy at 4th of July yesterday who is talking to everybody about how much they make. Like, if you sit next to me at a party, we're going to talk about money. Like, I'm going to help you make more of it. And I'm going to figure out, and I'm going to make you uncomfortable a little bit sometimes. So what I realized, I hate talking on the phone. I don't like talking to people one-on-one. I'm not really that social of a person. I actually gave up my phone like 4 months ago to my assistant. I have no cell phone at all anymore.
You were telling me this. I'm fascinated to hear more about this, but I want to hear more about 7-figure flipping first.
Well, I wanted to figure out how to raise capital like one-to-many. Because we do one-to-many coaching. I don't like one-on-one. And I was just wasting so much time. I was having the same conversation over and over and over again with people. Like same conversation. Where's your money now? How much you think about investing? Why don't you want your money? Like, why are we even having this conversation? Why do you hate the stock market? Why do you hate whatever? What kind of returns do you want? Same conversation over and over and over again. And I just said, we've been doing this in the digital marketing world for so long of selling, high ticket products. This is the same thing. How can I figure out how to use this to just go raise capital on a webinar one time or my email list and just email people and not have to talk to them and just have the same frequently asked questions asked at the end of the call on the webinar and just get them to hit a link and make a commitment. Because my time is very valuable. Like I really only work Monday through Thursday from 10 to 4. That's it right now. And I have 6 different companies. We have so much going on. I just can't have 30-minute calls every single day. I would get nothing done. So that's what we did. We started really, I realized that I could start automating this. I really am I'm an engineer and my background's in mechanical and aeronautical engineering. And I just figure out how I can automate this operationally to make it really easy and get people to. And so I know I got to get the know, like, and trust factor up. I got to get in front of them. I got to bring in people, and then, they refer people and bring other people in. And we've probably raised, $50-60 million over the past year or two for these deals now.
That's incredible. I love that you mentioned, and I just thought about this when you were talking about when you interview people as you're flying a plane, and you just talked about how you were the guy at 4th of July parties talking about money. And it sounds like you can position yourself to really get people to open up, and maybe you're making them uncomfortable, but you're finding out so many things that the average person probably isn't able to find out about people by having that leg up of like putting yourself in situations where you are more confident, you are more experienced in things. So to learn so much about people in a way that gets you to understand them on a whole new level is really fascinating.
I would agree with that. I think most people are like, they're afraid to have a difficult conversation, or I think I'm just like somewhat socially awkward. And I don't understand when people are feeling like, when it comes to money, when it comes to that stuff, like business and money, I love it so much that it's pretty much a lot of what I think about. So I talk about it a lot. And I'll tell you, the most people, they're afraid to tell people what they do or what they're going to do or what they're planning to do until they've become really, really successful. I think the people out there, like if there's something that you want to do, if you put it out there and you start talking about it, people are going to start seeing you that way. I guarantee like if people don't know what you're doing right now, then how can they ever invest with you? How can they ever do business with you? How can they ever get involved with you? How can they get interested in it? You can't keep it a secret. I think everybody has a secret identity that they don't share. And this is what I teach when I teach people how to raise a lot of money is you got to share it before you become successful. And that's the challenge we all have.
Yeah. I mean, I think so many people don't share what they're doing or what they plan to do, maybe because they're afraid of failing. But really, it's the brave people who are out there talking about it even before they're necessarily doing it that, if they're comfortable enough and confident enough to talk about it, they're the ones that are probably going to succeed.
Yeah. I put it out there and said, it was months ago, like a long time ago. I was like, I'm going to have 1 million subscribers on my YouTube channel. I think I have like 79 right now, maybe 80 some. My farm channel is growing way faster than my flying channel. Yeah, I'm trying to let the YouTube algorithm take over. I'm not necessarily talking about it a ton, but I put it out there and I'm like, I'm still committed to this. It's just going to I don't care how long it takes me. It's just going to take me a long time. And I'm dedicated and committed to it. I really love this idea and I'll figure it out. And I think a lot of people are and I could easily share that and be like, oh yeah, I decided not to do that. But like, that's it. Like, I'm going to figure it out. I've been working for like 6 months on this, studying, buying courses, training, watching what other people are doing, iterating what I'm doing, getting a little bit more views on each video and just, trying to figure it out. Like we hit the algorithm really well recently on a video for my farm. And so I'm trying to figure out how to do the same thing for my personal channel. And it's going to take a long time. And the people who have millions of subscribers on there, they've been doing it for a really long time.
Yeah.
Like 10, 20 years. So most people are just not willing to do something long enough and be bad long enough to be successful. And I think that's the challenge that we have. And I'm willing to be really bad at stuff for a really long time. And I love learning new things and just getting better. Like that's my whole life. I just want to learn new things.
That's like the quote of this whole podcast too. Willing to be bad for a long time, right? That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an advantage to that. I want to go back to, I know what Chris mentioned earlier about you wanting to get rid of your cell phone and how you haven't had a cell phone for a few months. Tell us a little bit about that.
So that's a really long conversation. I'll try to give you the cliff notes. I don't like to talk on the phone really. And I'm also, as somebody who I really am family oriented. I have 3 little boys. One of them special needs. He had 5 open heart surgeries, 4 of them in the first 6 months of his life, has 6 heart catheters. He's a challenge. He needs like one-on-one support a lot of times. I'd put him in the realm of like an autistic kid. He's like, has a routine and things like that. And he doesn't really speak that well, didn't eat for 3.5 years. So we have some tough things that are going on, and I just want to be present. And I realized I was never really present, especially when I unlocked this entrepreneurial world like 9 or 10 years ago. I mean, I was a pilot for the Navy. I was making like $90,000 a year. I thought making $150K a year was it. That was like the peak and the pinnacle. I was going to retire after 20 years, get half of my salary, and probably go get another job as a test pilot flying for some other company, probably. And so I didn't know this world, and this world kind of consumed me. And it's very easy to get eaten up and never catch up, like always be going all the time.
Constant notifications.
Totally. And my wife is somebody who is cool, just like sitting on the back porch by herself doing nothing. Like she does not need, she's not driven. She's not like, she has like, I don't know. I was like, what is your purpose in life? She's like, I don't know. And I don't care. Like, I just want to live and do my thing. Like, and so it's total opposite for me. And so the problem is, as a digital marketer and somebody who's online all the time, she sees me when I'm on my phone as I'm working. Mm-hmm. Even if I'm just like reading an article on CNN, right? Like it wouldn't matter, but I'm working on the couch all the time. And the kids were saying my name like 5 times before I'd be thinking about stuff. So I really need to figure a way to unplug. And so I've wanted to do this for years. And I've even had a second phone for a long time, thinking I'd get a bat phone that only 3 people would have the phone number for. And my son had a Make-A-Wish trip to go to Disney. He's a Wish kid. So he's going to Disney World, and we're going, and we get to the front of the line, Disney, Universal, SeaWorld, whatever we want to do. Amazing experience, once in a lifetime thing, right? For these kids that have terminal type diagnosis.
Yeah.
And so we're going there, and I'm like, now's the time. Like, I just need to give it up so I can be fully present while I'm there and not have to be on my phone, check my email. Like, you have a computer in your pocket. You have every answer in your pocket. So for 10 days, I had no phone. I have a chief of staff that works for me, and she took my phone with her while I was gone. So she answered all the text messages and phone calls, answered the phone when it rang and stuff like that. I mean, executives used to have secretaries that would answer the phone, and it was just the thing. Whether it was a man or a woman, doesn't matter, but answer the phone in the 80s and 90s. And there's somebody in the way between somebody getting to them.
Yeah.
So it was magical. Like, it was incredible. I realized that I was totally addicted to it. For the first couple of days, I was like, I like feel a vibration in my pocket, and it wasn't there. You know, it's like stuff like that. And so I just said, well, how about 2 weeks? How about a month? How about forever? Like, I don't know what it's like. But what I realized was people solve their own problems. You don't have to answer within 5 seconds like people think that you do. If you stop talking to people, they'll stop talking to you. So, and if they realize that somebody else is a gatekeeper for you, they'll stop talking to them too. Like, the amount of messages I get now are much lower than what I got before. And let's think about this. They have Facebook Messenger, Instagram messages, TikTok, Slack, Asana, text messages, phone calls,
Voxer,
voicemails, Voxer.
Yeah.
Like, just keep naming them. And so it's not bad.
Channels,
yeah. I mean, YouTube comments, everything. Like, it's not email. We didn't mention email. I probably have 6 different email accounts.
Yeah.
But it's not even, it's not bad when you have a few people that are connected to you. Like, in the beginning, I had maybe 5 or 10 friends or people that had my number that were messaging me early on in my life. And it's no big deal. Like, I became somebody who would respond quickly, and I prided myself, and my identity was wrapped around responding quickly. And I think most of us are. And so then what happens is you scale to 100 connections. And I'm still somebody who responds quickly, and everybody loves me because I respond quickly. They're like, I loved working with Bill because he responds quickly. He gets things done. He does what he says he's going to do. He's on time, all this stuff. And then when I scaled to thousands or tens of thousands of connections, like, what happened is I would get 100 messages, and I would clear out 10 a day.
Yeah.
And then I have 90, and the next day I get another 100. And then the next day 100, and the next day 100. I never feel like I can catch up. I go home, and I'm like, I can't catch up. And so then I would beat myself up because I'm somebody who responds quickly. And people would get upset with me because I didn't respond to them when I used to respond to them all the time, and think that I'm mad at them. I actually had clients of mine that thought I was mad at them. I was like, I love you. I will never be mad at you. Like, you can't do anything to upset me and piss me off. Like, really, you can't. It's just the fact that I didn't see the message. I got 300 Facebook messages last week. Yeah. Like, I missed it. And I'm not mad. And they would keep it inside. And so now it's a different conversation. It's like, I don't have a phone.
Yeah.
People are like, what are you talking about? You don't have a phone. This is incredible. Let's talk about this. And I spend more time talking about this than I did before. So what I realized is when I have that many connections, the only thing I could do is burn it down. Like I could never catch up ever. So I just burned it all down. And now I build a system around how I communicate with people. Like they can't text me and call me. It's not like I have another phone anymore. Like I do not have a phone at all. I mean, I have an iPhone, but it's a camera and it's connected to 3 other people, my social media team, my chief of staff. They can all see the pictures that I take. I can iMessage on Wi-Fi. So Chris, you and I have messaged before. I was going
to say, when I text you, what happens? I'm getting something back.
Sometimes it's me. Sometimes it's me. Sometimes it's my chief of staff.
Yeah.
We both get the same messages. You'll only get me if I'm on Wi-Fi. And so, and I intentionally wasn't on Wi-Fi yesterday when I was at my friend's house. I could have asked him for the password, but do you know how rude it is when you pull out your phone and you're talking to somebody?
Yeah.
Like, you don't know if they're like texting or looking at something. Like what I have to do now to check my email is I have to open a computer. Could you imagine if we're at a 4th of July party and I break out my backpack, open a computer while we're having a conversation and open up my laptop and start checking my email and typing a response?
But that's what people are doing with their phones, Bill.
I know.
That's
what I'm saying.
Very similar. Even
they're
at a restaurant.
doing it with their phone, but it's socially acceptable now and it's so rude.
I couldn't agree more.
Yet you're super successful. You've been able to figure out that you don't have to have that constant drip, right, of this contact.
Yeah, but I do also know and realize that I'm probably losing some business or something by not being as connected as I was before. But I will tell you, I feel a lot more free, and there's a lot there. And look, we're on a marketing podcast, and I run a marketing business, and I'm on social media. I'm making videos every day. Like we do a ton of videos in the airplane. My Instagram account has all of our airplane videos. I'm focusing on that right now to grow it. I need to grow the attention and eyeballs that I have on me. And I realize social media is a big part of that. But you can figure out a way to systemize it and automate it such that it works for you. And you're putting out great information that's really helpful for people. And you can we batch it. Every time I fly, it costs me thousands of dollars to fly. So when I fly out to Boise, I'm making reels the entire way there. I'm making like 30, 40 reels. And on the way back, I'm doing the same thing. When I'm there, I'm making some of these videos, and then my team takes it and they work on it for months. And I give them content, and then I only have to do it like once a month. Yeah. And so we try to figure out how to do that, where I don't feel like it's sucking all my life. I was a total consumer on there. I said I was a creator, but I was a creator and a consumer.
Yeah, that's a big difference, right?
And it's okay if I'm intentionally going on there to consume something, but not when it's like 7 hours a day.
Oh, yeah. Amen. I want to ask about one other thing too, which I think is interesting for people. You wouldn't label yourself as an affiliate. Would you, like as just a pro affiliate? But let me tell you, we went kind of head to head in this Grant Cardone. I remember I was in Costco with my wife, and you and I are texting back and forth. And we're like, hey, how many is this person at? Like we kind of kept going back and forth. And you took, was it second or third?
I got second. Yeah.
This is crazy. In one of the biggest affiliate contests there was, Bill comes out of nowhere and just hammers people. How did you do that if you're not known as the affiliate guy?
Well, there's a couple things that I did. The first step is I knew how much I could pay to acquire a customer.
Right.
That I think a lot of people don't do. So when ads got really expensive and people were expecting to pay like $5 for an opt-in, and they were paying like $20, that they quit.
That's right. That was about the number.
So that cleared the field. And I knew that we could pay up to $20 an opt-in for what we were doing on the back end of it. Like I engineer everything ahead of time. Like I want to know my predicted outcome. There's actually something that I heard. I was in 2CCX for like years before Russell opened up his inner circle again. I was just like knocking on the door for like years and years and years.
Yeah.
And so I was paid for 2CCX for years. And I was on some like virtual call that they did. And I wish I could remember who said it. They said, hypothesize, test, pivot. These are 3 words that they use. They're like, this is how I run my business. And since then, it's been written on my wall, on my iPad, like on my hand, everywhere. That's all I think about. So I hypothesize, test, and pivot. So before I do anything, I come up with the expected outcome of what I think I'm going to see. And I was hoping for opt-ins around $10. We were getting them like 20, and then we were able to dial it down to 16. But I knew that I could do that and still be, because we had something on the back end that we were going to sell these people.
That was the key.
Yeah. And they were real estate people. I knew that the audience and avatar was perfect for me and my offer, which like, that's the challenge that I have a lot of times with some of the ClickFunnels affiliate stuff is I can't figure out how to, like, I don't have the program on the back end to make money from the people that opt in and come into my world. They were also willing to share all the leads, all the emails, like real time. So all that stuff really helped. So I was able to come up with the numbers and do the math to try to figure out exactly how I could do this. And then I took that and I went and I found the person, because we're not good enough at Facebook ads to run a campaign like this. So my team did not run the Facebook campaign that we did. Fortunately, I was in the Atlas group and I was able to find the person who could run. Alicia is amazing. She ran our Facebook campaign with us. We came up with a plan, and in like 10 days, we were able to drive like 7,500 opt-ins. But the thing is, other people didn't convert the way that we converted. So on the back end of this, the other thing that I did tactically, Laura, I know you want the tactics, right?
Yes.
So what I did was the weeks leading up to it, when somebody opted in, I got on calls. I was on Zoom calls twice a week leading up to his challenge, seeding and preparing what his offer was going to be, because they gave us all this training. They told us the 5 pillars that they were going to teach and sell. And I taught all the 5 pillars myself to warm them up for that before they got there. So our conversion rate was probably like 3 or 4 times higher than anybody else that had opt-ins. And I was looking at all the metrics, all the data. I was also able to get them on the call by sending a calendar invite directly to their Google. I just invited all 7,000 people that opted in that we had in a calendar invite to get them to come on. It broke our Zoom account, like the most people that ever showed up. And so I just really just warmed them up. And they were in there like, because they didn't know who I was. I was using Grant's likeness on the ad. It was me and Grant's picture next to each other. Yeah. And they were like, when's Grant showing up? I was like, I just didn't address it. I just kept teaching. I kept training. And I showed them that I had value. And I think the difference is they see Grant Cardone as the billionaire, and I was a closer step to where they are. And so I was able to build trust, and I was able to easily like boil things down. And then the other thing I did is on the back end, after every day that he trained, I would train with them in the application to real estate. Because he was training business, and I knew that all these were real estate investors, because I wanted only real estate investors, ran ads only to investors, because I want to convert them into my program on the back end. So I built out my own, it took me like a month. Once we decided that we're going to do it, which was a very difficult decision. It didn't make a lot of sense for us. We'd never done this before. And the other, because I also knew that if I'm going to participate, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
Like I don't do anything to become in second. I'm pissed that I got second. The reason I was texting you is I'm like, I'm still trying to win this. I want to know where you're at. And if you know where anybody else is at, I want to know how much harder I need to work. And so but you told me that I couldn't beat Anthony, and you were right.
It's hard to beat Anthony, man. That guy shows up as affiliates for sure. He's a powerhouse.
Yeah, I think our email list is like, maybe we might have 100,000 people on there, and he's got like a couple million when I talked to him. And I was just like, You're right. There's no way I could win.
It's also a life lesson, I think, for business operators in what you said about understanding the offer and kind of diving into what the offer is, coaching that, teaching like certain methods. And it makes me realize there are probably a lot of people out there that are listening to this and thinking, I should probably have my offer better prepared, more than 24 hours before I just go and launch the thing. Cause I think that's something that like a lot of people, like that's the fault in so many launches is like knowing your offer. And if you have a really great affiliate program, letting your affiliates know exactly what's going to be happening.
If I could take that a step further, I think the problem that most people have is they create their offer first. And so what we were able to, the only reason that I backed that offer, number one, it was a good offer. Number two, if I only sold his offer and I didn't make these real estate investors understand why they needed to learn this, they wouldn't have bought it. So if you can think about this for a second, his offer primarily, those people on there were confused because he was talking about marketing. He was talking about sales. He was talking about attention. He was talking about like creating a digital product, all this crap that my real estate investors do not care about. They don't.
You could niche down.
They don't know. He's talking to digital marketers, people who build courses, the people like Russell's world, right? The ClickFunnels world. Which is none of my people. They don't use that stuff. They're direct marketing.
Yeah.
They're going directly to a seller. They're buying their house and they're fixing it up and selling it. They don't understand that they have to be really good marketers. So what I did was I and people need to start with their avatar first. That's step one. It's like understand who you're serving and get really detailed there. And then figure out like your non-negotiables, what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do. And then figure out where those people hang out and what kind of media you can talk to them in. And then create your offer. Like, don't create the offer first, because you're usually you're creating something that you think that you want, but the audience might not want it. And so we do the offer like last. And then we take all of our non-negotiables and things like that and then build it into the offer. And so we did it backwards. And I said, would my people buy this? And I was like, no, like right now they will not buy this. My real estate investors, I could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars getting a ton of opt-ins, but they will not buy this course. Some of them will buy it because I tell them to. And that's where everybody else went wrong. They were telling their audience to buy it, and their credibility only bought a certain level of conversion.
Yeah.
I knew that I had no credibility with the audience. That helped me. And then I wanted all these new people, and I wanted Grant's offer to pay to build my list. And then I'll convert them down the road. Like I'll sell them something in the next.
Offer to build your list. I hope you're listening to this. This is genius stuff.
Yeah. And our opt-ins with his face on it were like, if we've tried to run an ad with my face on it, like nobody knows who the heck I am. And so if I can put me next to him, then I can get in front of people way faster. And so then we figured out, how do I get my audience to buy this offer? Because I thought it was really, and also I believed in it. I thought it was good for them.
Yeah.
So if I don't believe in it, if it's not something that I would buy, and I bought it, like I paid $1,000 personally to buy it because he didn't give it to us for free. So I was like, if I'm going to buy it, then I'm going to be able to tell other people to buy it. And I watched it. Catch Me If You Can. You guys know this movie?
Yeah, of course.
Leonardo DiCaprio. When he was the real guy,
Frank Abagnale.
Yeah. When Frank was doing this, it's like based on a true story. Somebody asked him how he was able to teach the college level courses that he was teaching. And he just said, I just read one chapter ahead.
Yep.
I was able to read one chapter ahead. So the whole time I was just reading one chapter ahead. I attended the trainings. I watched the videos of the course, and then I was able to teach the people my application to their business because I knew their business. So I think people get it backwards a lot of times. So.
Yeah, really
super
cool.
Smart. Bill, we could talk for hours about this. I have so many other questions too about events. So we're going to definitely have to have you back. But here's what I want to do before we go. Tell us where they go, especially for the YouTube channel. I know sevenfigureflipping.com is also another place. Where's the best place for people to opt into your stuff and find you?
Yeah. So if you're interested in real estate, I have a podcast called 7-Figure Flipping Podcast. It's a great place to kind of learn more about me. I talk about everything from my wife asking me for a divorce to my kids to real estate to business, things like that. But I would say we talked about YouTube. So the Bill Allen YouTube channel is very new. It's exciting. Russell's going to be on there soon, doing an interview in the airplane. And so we do the same thing on Instagram. But there's something that I'm working on right now that's probably my favorite thing. And it's a membership that we're doing for entrepreneurs. And it's so cheap. I want thousands and thousands of people in there. And we're calling it the Profit Pilots. So it's like my favorite thing is helping other people make a lot more money. So that's where the YouTube channel is kind of directing to. And a lot of what I'm doing is serving more business owners and just helping them kind of understand the numbers and the data and the science of their business, because people are great marketers and salespeople, but they just don't know the operational side and the number side. And they think they don't want to learn that stuff, but you have to. As a business owner, you have to know the numbers, you have to know the data, and you have to know your finances. So that's probably my favorite place. And the profitpilots.com, it's like $97 a month. And I coach in there once a week, like full time. So
that's
cool.
worth
And you
it
talked about
there.
Reels. So you're creating a lot of video content. Where can people go to check those out?
Yeah, my Instagram page, at Bill Allen REI on Instagram is the place. We put some of them on Facebook, but I'm really kind of focusing on Instagram. I think there's a lot of, I want to learn something new. I suck at Instagram, so I'm learning that right now. And it's been growing pretty steadily. And I love some of I just did one because I get these questions like, how do you go bathroom in the airplane when you're flying 4.5 hours? So I just did one that was like the most fun reel I ever made was, this is how I go pee in the airplane.
Very interesting. Love that.
Stuff like that. But it's usually more business content than that. This is the most fun one I've done so far. It's like when we were going to we're going to launch one that's like I flew to Montana for Chick-fil-A. So it's kind of like fun.
Awesome. Well, I mean, this conversation alone was probably a peek into all the different things that you talk about. And it was great to learn more about your business and then talk a little bit about farming. And who knew that you would be teaching people on this podcast alone how to be a great affiliate. So it's been a lot of fun.
You're the man, Bill. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks,
all right,
Bill.
Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Bye.